like what, 14 miles? All right, perfect. All right, Kevin, so first things first, let's go ahead and introduce yourself to the good people of YouTube out there that are wondering who the heck you are.
All right, so I am Kevin Festini. I am the men's 4-5 team director for SDBC and the Cat 1-2 team captain. So heavily involved with the club, but yeah, we're out here in my hometown of Poway right now.
Right on, where are we heading today?
We're just kind of cruising around the country, kind of getting a little bit of everything. So Poway is kind of known as a city in the country. So right now you got some nice trails and trees, but we'll go into the town, get some coffee, get some sweet donuts, and have some fun.
Right on, I'm excited, let's do it. Kevin, so we're here, we're hanging out, we're at King's Craft Coffee in Poway. I just kind of want to know, how did you end up sort of getting your start in cycling? You know, what drove you to riding the bike?
Yeah, so basically I was a D3 collegiate soccer athlete, graduated college, was definitely not good enough to go to pro or MLS or anything, so, you know, started working, but then wanted to stay in shape. I ended up just borrowing like my dad's like 30-year-old like Huffy, like steel frame, like just
45 pounds.
45 pounds, super old. But it was an out and out road bike though, at least. And now exercise was like a destination. Like, oh, I'm gonna ride here today, and you go right out there, and then you just come back. And that was like way more like freedom and liberating. And then just kind of like took off from there. What
do you think was like the critical moment where you transitioned from like, all right, exercise every day, this is cool, you know, riding around. I mean, Grand Fondos are cool, but like racing is a different ball game. So was it competitive or?
It was a little bit of competitive stuff, right? Like being like a competitive athlete basically throughout like my whole like adolescence, it was hard not to kind of scratch that itch. And so like that's where the Grand Fondos were like filling that gap, where I would only go to ones that like had like result sheet lists. And
so you were already already like racing the Grand Fondos.
Yeah, it was like kind of racing them, but I knew I was like, well, I'm not good enough to be with the front group, so like I'll just see if I can get with a good group and like work together, and then, you know, try to drop people on the climbs at the end. But then usually that would never work because I would be like tired. But you know, like typical Fred stuff. Finally got to the point after it was like 3 or 4 years where I was just like, you know what, like just bite the bullet, you know, like try it out for a year or two, like see if you like it, and then and I, you know, I did, right? So then I was like, all right, like let's keep on going.
You obviously loved it, right?
Yeah.
I guess you said 6 years with SDBC.
Yeah.
And that took you. So I'm guessing, when did you become Cat 1, right? You're Cat 1 now?
Yeah, I'm Cat 1 now. I came Cat 1 in 2018. Basically because I wanted to ride nationals. So I wanted to do amateur road nats. I mean, you needed to be Cat 1 to enter that. My daughter was coming later that year. This is going to be like my last chance to like go to nats, like not have a family, right, to worry about, and went out to, it was Hagerstown, Maryland, which is where they had it. But yeah, but that was like
sounds
the whole
like
reason.
A great place, man.
That was, that's like the only reason. I mean, other than saying like, hey, I'm a Cat 1 cyclist. Like, that's like the cool part where everyone's like, whoa. It's funny, it's like the difference between Cat 1 and Cat 2 is like no difference.
Okay.
The only difference is if you're Cat 1, basically you can only ride against pros now. Because everyone in Cat 2 is like, you're not riding for like a trade team. You have a full-time job usually, right? Or it's like when you're Cat 1, you're in the Pro 1 fields, it's like 90% of the guys are either on like a trade team, so they're getting paid, or there are people that are like trying to get onto those trade teams, so they don't have jobs, they're riding 40-hour, 20-hour weeks or whatever, right? So those races definitely aren't fun. And then, but then when you get down to like the cat, you know, like the criterium stuff, it's all P1-2 anyway, so it doesn't matter. Being a Cat 1 or Cat 2 is like, eh. But yeah, for stage races and things, it definitely makes a big difference. So before, you used to get screwed over as a 2 if you beat a bunch of 3s, like it wouldn't count toward like your point total because they were lower category. Whereas if a 3 was the opposite, like if a 3 and you beat a 2,
double
like
points.
it counted for you because it's like, well, they should be better than you, right?
So you mentioned working full time. Obviously, cycling is not your day job, right?
Yeah.
But you managed to be Cat 1 without it being your day job.
Yeah.
But now, like you said, you're not dealing with the elite guys all the time. But yet, it's not your job. So
yeah, how
does that work out? And how do you balance training with the full time job? What do you do as your full time job? I guess is a good way to start.
Yeah, so I'm a mechanical engineer. I work for Illumina. I don't know, engineer by trade. So kind of went to college for that.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Harvey Mudd College, so it's like a really small, I guess like they call it a liberal arts college, but it's basically just an engineering and science college. I think it's hard balancing the two, especially when you get up to like higher and higher categories, just because the level you need to perform at is so much higher. But I remember in my early days before I had to go indoors, basically, I used to just like commute, and that was like my main like source of volume. So instead of just like going like A to B direct, I would make it like some like 2.5 hour loop to get to just getting into work, and then always coming home from work was like short. Doing double day is always tough, but you can get a lot of volume in that way. And then now with my family, like I got another girl on the way.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Huge. All right.
So now I'm
double down on the girl dad thing.
Yeah. Girl dad right there. Now that I have that, it's basically you just are super diligent on like the time that you have, right? So
every mile has a purpose to it.
Yeah, kind of, but also just like you want to get everything out of like the hour that you do have. So I was always a fan of structured training before, but now taking it indoors, it's like hyper structured because it's no breaks, right? You
no
just like your warm up, you're always pedaling, and then you just like knock out your intervals like boom. There's no like, okay, well I gotta ride 45 minutes to get to Fiesta Island, and then get there, and then do an interval, but I gotta interrupt it because a car cut me off, so then I gotta start over again, right? There's none of that, right? So you end up just like knocking out these workouts that would take you like 2 hours before, and you're like, oh, that was 50 minutes? Oh, okay, great. I guess I got 10 more minutes to spare. I think part of me just also enjoys like the training aspect of it, right? Like just enjoys the science of getting faster and like getting faster. So even with 2020, there's no real reason to like get fast, right? Like there's no races, there's no even group rides, right? Which used to be like the unofficial race, like win the town sign sprint. And so now you're just like, well, what do I do? But it's been nice just to stick to the plan that I follow, and then like now I'm probably only riding like 12 hours a week at like max, and got all-time high numbers, right?
That's a perfect segue sort of into, I guess, if you're not training for races, you're not training for other things. I've heard rumor that you have every KOM in Poway, so, that's the big training goal, right?
I think Poway grade, I think the KOM, before I took it, was from like 2012.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it stood a long time up there. Of course, now saying that, and with all the YouTubers out there, they'd be like,
everybody's gonna be like,
Poway grade, all right, what is all right,
it's over for Kevin.
I need to do this. But that was fun, and it was just like what started out as just like to capitalize on the fitness I had, kind of snowballed into a little bit bigger, where then I was like, well, I was able to take that one down. Like, let me go see if I can do some other like of the storied San Diego ones. So I tried to do like Torrey. I couldn't beat Guyman and I couldn't beat Carpenter, but I ended up slotting in third, so I was like, that's pretty good. And then I just recently took Soledad, although that one's not going to last long. Like, someone always taking Soledad, so it's just like,
especially now that that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, now it's now.
By the time I post this, it might already be.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably already gone by the time I'm saying this. But with my second daughter on the way, it's kind of also like one of those kind of like last hurrah national kind of things where it's like, well, let's, I'm as fit as I have ever been, so like let's like at least cement it with something that like proves that snapshot in time I was really fit. if 2021 comes and I like gain 30 pounds and, you know, get rocked the dad bod,
so bad.
I won't feel so bad because I was like, I peaked, you know.
Last year was sick.
I Google my name on Strava and, you know, I got a KOM still.
The Strava class is the only class that matters.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Looks okay. Breaking a sweat. Delicious. All right, so while we crush these donuts, since you're on a time limit, let's talk about biggest moments in cycling. So you've had 6 years.
Yeah. So first thing that comes to mind is the team time trial state championship that we won in 2019. In my opinion, team time trials are like the hardest like discipline of cycling, right? It's one, you got to get like 4 or 5 like really fast people that are all pretty similar fitness levels. And then just doing a team time trial in general is like, it's one of the hardest things you can ever do, right? Because you got to go as fast as you possibly can, but when you swing off, you can't get dropped. So
and you're like 2 inches from people's wheels.
Yeah, and you're everyone's like aero position, everything, right? So it's super difficult to get right. And so being such a big club at SDBC, like we had the luxury of like being able to field like a pretty good team. Yeah, we like when we'd go out to Fiesta Island, another San Diego thing, right? Where it's like not a lot of people have places like that where you can practice. And we just practiced like doing our rotations and like getting a feel for each other. So by the time we did like the state route, like we were just flying. And then the second one is 2018 Tour Tucson. I think it was my only Cat 2 like out and out victory, where I won the road race there. But it was like SDBC domination. 3 guys in the top 5. It was like crazy after the time trial.
Oh, for GC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on the road race, like I just went off on like a little sneaky little attack move to get off the front because we were like kind of controlling the race. And then ended up catching a guy that had already gone up the road, worked together. The guy that was in third was like came up with me.
Okay.
And so we were like, let's roll it, and we rolled it. And then because I had Chris in the main field, like the last 4K, I was just like, it's up to you, buddy. Like, I'm not pulling anymore. And he was like, come on, they're gonna catch us. I was like, if they catch us, like,
you guys right?
Our team's still in first place, so it's like either way we're gonna leave with the yellow jersey. He had no legs, so I just dusted him in the sprint, won the stage, took yellow. Last day we made some mistakes, so I ended up actually like keeping yellow, but it was like still one of the proudest moments of my career. Like, I actually got to wear a yellow jersey, right? That's like huge. Show up to the start line.
Yeah. Did you get the call out and then you feel like deer in headlights?
I mean, you've been called up before, but it's more just like having the privilege of like wearing that jersey in a race and and having all your teammates around there to like celebrate it with you. You know, like that was probably the big thing with like stage races are so much fun is you're not like alone. You're not in a silo like when you're celebrating, right? Like you go out, you have like 8 other your teammates, they'll all have dinner, you know, you're all like chit chat. It's basically like this awesome vacation, cycling vacation almost, right? And yeah, I still have that yellow jersey today, right? I like hung it up because you know, it's so rare that you actually get to wear one of those, right? So even though I didn't win it, I'm still like super proud of it.
Back when camaraderie.
Yeah, back when racing was like way more like rampant.
What is something you'd like to see more of? Is there not necessarily a gap, but like, is there a direction that you think SoCal cycling community should move in? Is there something that you think that we could improve on as a whole?
I mean, I guess this is coming from like a racer point of view, but I think we're doing, like Legion's doing a great job of trying to just like build the cycling scene, but they're doing a really good job of doing that kind of more like just in LA in general. Whereas I kind of want to see that kind of throughout all of Southern California. And so I know San Diego, you know, like 5 years ago, it used to be like you could do 12 or 15 races just in San Diego, right? Wow. And that helped really bring in the community of like racers, right? So it wasn't so segregated. Now I feel like it's more like all right, you got to go up to LA to do a race if you want to do a race, and then
CBR 1 through 10.
Yeah, so then that like kind of like automatically like shoves out most of like the San Diego like community because they don't want to travel that far. I mean, some people still do it and we still race it because it's like the only game in town, but I would like to see us get back to more of like growing our domestic scene more, because we have a big community down here in San Diego, and it's not like we can't contain it or can't foster it.
Permits are hard.
Yeah, permits are hard, and then it falls off the calendar one year, and then like before you know it, it's like, oh, it's never coming back, right? So it's probably just like something where we need to try to take the reins or just think of something more creative to try to get stuff back here in San Diego, because I know a lot of people love to race and a lot of like to ride their bikes fast. It's just there's not a lot of opportunity for them to do that.
Car behind us. He's super pissed at me because I'm GoPro.
Poway. Horse country.
Last question of the day. This is the big hitter, man. Who is the fastest cyclist in SoCal? It's got to be non-pro though.
It's got to be a non-pro.
Yep.
Fastest guy currently.
Yeah, I would say currently. Because if we start talking throwbacks, you could go like way back in the day.
I guess does Legion count as pro? So I think Ama. What's his?
Oh, dude, I think yeah, he puts down like 1800 watt.
Yeah, I mean
sprints. He's a young guy.
He's just like young, super talented kid. Like,
okay.
Which you love to see. It's just like, I mean, I know he was on Lux and like been developed, but it's just great to see such like raw talent,
Okay.
Where it's like, for me, I'm like, dude, I'm over the hill. Like, yeah, I feel like I have a good level of fitness, but when you see like the young kids that are like 24 coming through, and then they're just like, yeah, dusting old guys like me all the time, like that's what you want to see. And I know probably it's hard for a lot of the old guys to see that, like coming through on a group ride, just see some kid like take you down, but yeah, he's been super like just eye-opening just to watch that and just be like, wow, dude, this kid is like he's like just on the upswing, and he's already like beating everyone out here, right? So I'm super excited to see what he can do with Legion. Like, I think that's a great opportunity for him, and yeah, I'm just excited to see where he can go.